I just interviewed one of the world's top cold email experts, and he showed me the exact email that one of his clients used to land a $1 million deal with one single email. This exact email has also been used to land thousands of high-paying copywriting, freelancing, and agency clients over the last 8 years. And somewhere inside of this video, I have put up a screenshot of the exact email, but I'm purposely not telling you exactly where. Because in order for you to use this email successfully, you need to understand the psychology behind it. You need to understand how to apply it to you and your offer, how to find the right people to email, how to follow up correctly, and how to use AI to do all of this for you in 10 seconds. And everything I just mentioned is exactly what we covered A to Z in my interview with the legendary Jon Buchan. We spilled so much sauce in this video, it could honestly be a paid mini course in its own right, but because you're a VIP subscriber and I love you, I want you to have it for free. Fucking subscribe if you're not already, okay? So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, ladies and gents, do I have a treat for you today? In my opinion anyway, one of the absolute best copywriters and cold email experts in the world. He does it completely different from anyone else in the industry. He has a very unique style of charm, humor that captivates, it amuses, and it damn well converts better than pretty much anything else out there. So I've been a big fan of this guy for a long time. I've been following him for a long time. And fun fact, I actually used his cold email sequence to land one of my first few ever copywriting clients years ago, like 6 years ago. And yeah, it's really an honor to get to chat today. So Jon, how you doing, man?
Doing great, man. Thank you for that lovely introduction.
My pleasure. It's actually funny. I got an email in my inbox probably 2 or 3 years ago. The first email I ever got from you, it literally said, it was like, Sean, are you selling my emails as a part of your program? I shut myself. I was like, oh no. Because I found this PDF online, which was the same one that I had used years ago to land my first client. And I was like, oh, it's that guy. It's the cold email sequence, the drunk cold email sequence that I used. I was like, wow, what a gem. And it was just this PDF that I just assumed was like a free resource, like a PDF or, lead magnet or something. And so I told everyone in my program, I was like, this guy's stuff really works. Like, check it out. Like, here's the email that I used and everything. And I put it as like a bonus in my members area. And someone in their infinite wisdom must have cold emailed you with your own sequence to try and land you as a client or something. I don't even know how that even happened. Or did someone email you with your own sequence, or what's the story?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how I found out. I wondered if you picked that up. But then I realized when it happened, it's like, you've got a big audience. So I was like, actually, he's kind of promoting me in a way because it does mention it's my sequence. So I kind of mellowed on that, I believe.
I felt bad. And so I found your opt-in page and I sent it to absolutely everyone. And so I think I got you like 100 subscribers or something.
Yeah, you're forgiven.
Yeah, there we go. So man, I want to take things back to the beginning. I'm actually curious because I don't really know, but how did you actually get into this crazy world of copywriting? Because there's no one who really grows up, and goes, Mom, when I'm older, I want to be a copywriter, right? It's everyone kind of falls into this industry by accident. They have some weird twisted way that they got into the copywriting, cold emailing sort of space. And yeah, I'm kind of curious, like what started things for you back in the day?
I was back in 2006. I was just really depressed. I had a business back home in the West Midlands. It's 2 hours away from London. And I was just really depressed. And I just made the decision in my head, I'm going to move to London. I don't know why, it just came into my head. I'm going to move to London. And then within a month I was London. I just searched SEO jobs London because I knew how to do SEO. The top result that came up, SEO agency London, the top result came up. I just sent them a bullet point list of my skills. I hadn't got a CV. I didn't go to university. Got an interview, did well in the interview. They gave me some like homework to do. Went way above board to make sure I did a really good job. Got account managing, but another part of it was sales. So you would accompany the business development guy to sales meetings and be on sales calls. So I've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of sales pitches with some really great salespeople. The last agency I worked at, there was a guy, he called 8 hours a day, and I even stole some. It was so charming and so funny, so good at getting rapport with people. And I learned from him. One of the lines from my original drunk cold email is stolen from him. So it says, greetings, Sean, you've never heard of me. That's the first line. He would always start calls with, don't worry, you've never heard of me. Just really good at maintaining people's attention. And clients loved him. He was like the only sales guy that they loved speaking to. So I learned obviously a lot about managing clients and that kind of stuff, but also sales, just doing hundreds and if not thousands of pitches over the years. And then in 2010, I decided I think I can do this better myself. I've risen as high as I can in the agency I worked at. So I resigned. So I got a little bit of money saved up a few months, and then basically emailed all the ex-colleagues, suppliers, ex-clients that I was allowed to speak to, ones that the no compete had run out on. And before long, I'd got like 8 or 9 clients. And then my brother came on board because we'd always planned to start an agency together. And in running the agency, I think it was about a year in, all of my word of mouth leads had dried up. I was not getting any referrals, and I realized, fuck, I actually don't know how to generate leads. And I know how to close deals, but I don't know how to generate them. I'm just waiting for them to be around. And that's when the moment happened. I'd lost 3 clients. I'd taken on new staff. I'd taken on an office. So I was in this desperate situation, and I dealt with that in the most mature way I knew how at the time. I got blind drunk and for some reason wrote this completely ridiculous email. And in the morning, I was still tipsy enough to think it was a wise idea to send this to very senior decision makers like chief marketing officers, etc., at massive brands and corporations. And to my amazement, it worked. I just got loads of responses saying this is the best cold email I've ever received, or I've never replied to these. I haven't replied in 20 years to an unsolicited email, but had to reply to yours. And my personal favorite, which just said, my colleague forwarded me your spam email and we would like to meet you to discuss opportunities, which everyone always enjoyed. So that's my story from moving to London all the way to writing that drunk cold email. And then in 2017, I decided I should tell the world about this stuff. I've got something interesting and unusual. I know it works. Started the Facebook group, and very quickly it took off. People were very intrigued. What the hell is this guy writing to get these kinds of responses? These kind of responses, you're not meant to even get responses to cold emails, let alone gushing, massively enthusiastic responses.
Yeah, 100%. I remember when I first saw the email sequence, I think it was Jason Capital who showed me the sequence originally. This was 2018. And my initial thought was like, this is absolutely whack. I was like, there's no way this will like work on your serious professionals. And then I read it again and I was like, you know what? I think because of how different this is from everything else out there, I was like, I reckon this actually will work really well. And so I changed my mind straight away. I was like, you know what? This is actually genius. And I'm going to do this and I'm going to send it. And yeah, it worked straight away. Like you said, those kind of responses became very common. And I went from getting ignored, ghosted, rejected, to very enthusiastic responses and people complimenting me on my cold emails. And I was like, wow, okay, this is different. Not used to this. And yeah, it's disarming, it's charming. And for all of those reasons, it works really well.
Yeah, it's a great moment when that happens. Like I remember when I did it first and then I sent another batch and the same thing happened again. And I was like, oh man, I found like a business magic trick. It's kind of insane. I was like, I'm never going to struggle for leads again. And that's like a great place to be in.
Yeah, 100%. Why, in your opinion, do you feel like those emails work really well? I mean, I have my own theories and I can talk about it, but I want to hear from the horse's mouth.
Yeah. A few reasons. One is pattern interruption. I knew what everyone else was sending because people, even though I had a digital marketing agency, I would get cold emails offering me digital marketing. So I knew what everybody else was sending. I'd seen what the standard cold email template looked like that everyone sends. And I thought, I've got to make something as different as I can to that. What is the most opposite to that as possible? So the pattern and also the refreshing honesty. So in the first line of that drunk cold email, I admit I got their data from a list, just a paid list. So I said the most honest thing I possibly could. And if you say the most honest thing you could, everything, if you give, what could be termed like bad news or something you want to hide, but you're upfront with it, everything else you say has more credibility. That's a Warren Buffett technique. In his stock presentations, he always starts with the worst news he has because everything else has more credibility then. So it stands out for that reason. Also, it makes the best first impression. If you can make someone smirk, smile, or laugh out loud while they're reading your email, they're more likely to reply and reply positively. People that are in a good mood are more likely to say yes to a persuasive message. Also, it's memorable. I had clients, obviously I like the instant replies, but I'd also have people a year later saying, I've kept this email for a year and I didn't need your services, but now I'm interested and I would like to talk to you. So there's a whole number of reasons. There's a few other things that I should bring up. I've written them down. There's loads and loads of, it's been a while since I've done an interview. One of the best things is not only that it qualifies, like it sets up the people that like it and reply positively and enthusiastically, that relationship gets off on the best foot. Like you're not speaking in a corporate veneer talk. You're kind of talking like friends immediately. Sometimes they even try and outdo your humor, but also as importantly, it disqualifies the angry, stern, if someone sends you a reply to a kind of silly email with, you should be more professional in all capitals and loads of exclamation marks. You know that is not an ideal client. They're not. That's exactly the type of client that's going to not pay your invoices on time. Is going to be an absolute nightmare. And you've got to thank them for revealing themselves and helping you out. So those are a few reasons why it works.
Yeah, 100%. I've used some of those principles actually in so many different ways, and the type of responses you're talking about are very common. I remember one time I had like a protein powder order, and there was 12 things that I ordered in the box, and they forgot one supplement out of the 12 things. And so a normal person would write to customer support, say, hey, you forgot my thing, can you send it, blah blah blah. And I was like, hey, you know what, this would be a fun opportunity to practice like a Jon style charming kind of an email. And so I wrote them, I can dig up the script later, but I wrote them like this long thing. It was like my face right now, and it was like dear like whoever. I was like, I came home from work with the merriment and enthusiasm of a 4-year-old kid on a sugar high on Christmas Eve to find my brilliant green box at my front door. I ripped that sucker open with a giant smile on my face. And then, my smile turned to sadness as my worst nightmares came true. And I found that the supplement, bottle wasn't there. My faithful gym partners will miss it, blah, blah, blah. And then, I went into this thing, and then I was like, can you please send it to my other supplements don't feel lonely or whatever. Right? It was just like completely ridiculous email with like pictures of me, sad face, all that stuff. And the customer support person wrote me back, and she was like, I have a list on my desk, and this list is a list of my favorite customers. And there's only about 5 people on there out of about 50,000. And I can't reveal exactly what it takes to make this list, but here are 5 criteria, and you fit all 5 of them. And so she's like, I've arranged for the supplements to be sent, plus an extra kilo of free protein powder. Have a tremendous day, that kind of thing. I was like, this is cool. I was like, this does feel like a life hack. And I've used similar things, even the principle of being disarming, where you talked about admitting the fault up front. So you take something that you would normally try and hide, and you actually just lead with it at the very beginning. And so I use that same principle, and I actually sold my car years ago for way above market value in like a week or 2. And all I did was I basically, in my listing, I just said, hey, just so you know, there's a tiny dent on the front right bumper. You probably wouldn't even notice it. It's really small, but like, I just wanted to be honest about that, so you don't discover it in 6 months and hate me. That's just like how I like to do business. I like to be honest and upfront. And then I went into all the benefits and good stuff of the car, low mileage, burnt orange color, cool, this, that. And I sold it really quick and for way above like what it was actually worth. So I thought that was pretty cool as well. There's like no area in life where you can't use these principles.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it just gives you more credibility. And yeah, you made someone's day with the example of the supplement example. You made someone's day, and like just bored or having a bad day, and you've made them smile or laugh. You're going to get a much more positive response. I've used it to get into Quora, the questions and answers site. I got into their ads platform as like a beta tester using the same style. People have got like prizes for raffles using charming techniques. There's all kinds of weird and wonderful things you can do with it. And one that's big for me, that has been big for me when I was building Charm Offensive, is inviting myself onto podcasts, authoritative podcasts, and getting PR coverage. So getting publications to talk about you or if you've got clients, your clients' content. It works for that as well. I remember we won Symantec. It was our biggest client, gigantic $1 billion revenue company. And they told us if we, didn't perform, we would be out the door very quickly. And it was very hard to get so many meetings to get the deal. And I had a meeting on the Monday. We hadn't got any PR coverage for this infographic we'd made. So I went into the office on a Saturday and emailed the editor of VentureBeat, a big tech publication that I knew they would love to get in, and was really honest about my situation, about coming into the office on a Saturday, that I really need coverage. And he replied and said, yeah, this is perfect. And it was on the front page on Sunday, ready for my call on Monday with the client. And they loved it because they were covered as well. Loads of other places talked about them because they've got so much reach. And yeah, it's just another example of, if you want people to say yes to your reasonable requests, there is a way of writing that will ingratiate yourself, make you more likable, and make it more likely for them to say yes.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite ever quotes from you, which I'm about to horribly butcher, was something along the lines of, the right words to the right person at the right time can basically change everything for you, right?
So yeah, the right words in the right order to the right people can get you almost anywhere in life. That's right. This one isn't mine, but I also like it. Is B2B doesn't have to stand for boring to boring, which is also true. People think that they've got to have this sort of professional veneer, when really we're people first. It's professional second. At the end of the day, that person that you're putting on a pedestal because they're maybe the CEO of a big company or a really senior person that you kind of look up to. They're still people at the end of the day. They've still got silly, ridiculous stories about being drunk, or they've got guilty pleasures, the things that they watch. Don't put people on a pedestal, basically, because the people that are senior and want to be put on a pedestal are probably not going to be the nicest people to work with, and most of them really don't. They're people at the end of the day, and I think they like having a humorous approach. Nobody becomes like the CEO of Red Bull and then decides, you know what, I don't like to laugh anymore. That's something I did before I was successful. That's not something that ever happens ever.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I think that's probably one of the best networking tips ever, is that you tend to look at these people who are super successful, multimillionaires, have all these accolades, they have awards, they have cars, penthouses, whatever, like all these trappings of success. And it's easy to kind of immediately subconsciously, put them in a different stratosphere or whatever of status and treat them differently, treat them special, tiptoe on eggshells and sort of hold back, and be very vanilla, right? I think it's a primal instinct, right? Because, obviously thousands of years ago, if you pissed off the chief of the tribe, you would get beheaded or whatever, right? So it's like, I guess it's kind of natural, it's inbuilt into us, but we have to be conscious of that and go, actually, what's the worst that can happen? I'm not going to get beheaded. I'm not going to get exiled. I'm not going to be murdered. All right. So actually, there's no real consequence. And as you said, these people don't want to be put on a pedestal for the most part. They want to be treated as equals, just like everyone else. And it's funny, it's like the more millionaires that I've met in my life, ultra successful people and whatever, my idols, people that I looked up to, who from the outside look a certain way, are actually honestly some of the biggest like degenerates, party animals, and just funnest people that I've ever met. Like they party, they get drunk, they stay up late, they do all the same ridiculous shit that you did. Even more, some of these guys are crazy. Behind the scenes, like it's a whole different story. And you're like, oh wow, you see it firsthand, and you're like, shit, okay, he's just like me.
Yeah. If you think of the chaos that I'm assuming that we have probably caused in our younger days on a shoestring, they've got a massive budget as well, so they even have the means to go further. No, I remember that when I first moved to London, I thought, because everyone was asking, I was so young, everyone was trying to find a place to live, was asking for professionals. And I thought, all these professional people I'm going to work with, they're going to have their lives all worked out. And no, everyone's human at the end of the day. And yeah, this is why this approach works. Yeah, it's just so useful in so many different avenues. I've used it for so many different things. And if for people watching, they should at least give it a go. Even if you just cold pitch one person today, try and do one a day, even, you will start to see results. I would suggest more than that, but at least give it a go.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of my one of the reasons I always bring my girlfriend everywhere where I go for like networking, especially to festivals, artists, whenever I'm meeting sort of important people. I remember we were at Ultra Europe last year, and somehow we managed to get this table at the festival through a friend, where we basically had the table right next to all of the absolute top tier AAA artists who were playing on the big main stage, and then all of their managers, the festival owners, organizers, basically the people who run the dance music world, right? So the owners of all the major festivals and brands and labels and everything in the world, like right next to us on our table, they're all drinking and stuff. And I'm just looking around, I'm like, holy shit, these people are all just like my idols. And it's kind of like that fear almost sets in, and you're like, oh my God, I better not say something stupid. Or, I found myself being a bit more cautious and vanilla than I normally would. And yeah, my girlfriend Brooke, she does not give a fuck. Like she will just banter with anyone. Like she throwing insults, and she's like just sledging everyone, just like treating them like her best mates. And they were loving every second of it. They were laughing like at the audacity of like, who the fuck is this girl? But it's so refreshing because I feel like everyone in their whole life kind of, proverbially sucks their dick and whatnot all the time. And yes, ma'am, yes, sir, 3 bags full, etc. Right. And they don't want that. Right. And so it's very refreshing, as you said, when you show up.
I think people like audacity as well. Audacity is very enjoyable. But people like to, something, it's a quality that when done correctly, is very intoxicating and amusing. One of my favorite testimonials was from a guy, a guitarist and singer, and he had a showcase coming up in California, like all record label execs would go around this arena with lots of different bands playing, and he wanted to make sure they came to his gig, and he spoke to me, and he bought some templates and I helped him out, and his mom tried to tell him not to do it like these. It's senior people, you can't be writing these kind of absurd emails, but he did it. And he got loads and loads of execs to his showcase to come and see him. And it's one of my greatest testimonials because I don't have any musical ability, but I kind of live vicariously through him. And it was like, wow, he was the same. I found a magic trick. Like I can always do this. And one of my favorite testimonials for sure.
It's like a glitch in the matrix. Yeah, it's really cool.
It is indeed.
Are there any mistakes that you see people making when they try this kind of outreach?
Yeah, there's two different extremes. One is when people try and do kind of fake cocky. But the problem with fake cocky is if you're in person, you can kind of tell because you've got the intonation. But when people write, sometimes it just comes off as arrogant rather than like, I know what people are trying to do. And then the other extreme is because you're being self-deprecating, sometimes people will even put down their own skills. And it's like, you shouldn't do that. You can be self-deprecating, but not about what you're selling. That's the one thing. You still need to be confident. You can be confident and you can be respectful, but you can still have an entertaining email at the same time. Those are the two of the mistakes. Another one is mentioning kind of celebrities, like splitting your audience. So, for instance, obviously, Trump is a big one. If you mention him, you have to know that half your audience is going to hate him and half him is going to love him. So you're going to limit the amount of positive responses you get. Like, I don't really care what someone's political affiliation is. I just want to get the clients on board. That's another mistake that you can make. Those, I would say, the main ones. And also still being too reserved. So people have taken my templates and then they've edited them and edited them so much that there's barely any of the humor and charm left. It's pretty much just like a few little tiny bits that are charming. It's like, no, if you're going to do it properly. I would say those are the main issues I've seen.
Or just using it word for word. I've had a couple of people like do that despite me very clearly saying, change it and make it your own. And then they've gotten responses like, is this from a course or something? Like, I've got this exact email before, Yeah.
Making it your own is important. Like you can still use the templates like word for word and they still will work. But now people getting replies like, oh, this is a Jon Buchan template. Yeah. And there's still a connection to be made. You can still probably get that person as a client because you both know me and you've got that in common. Making it your own is important. Making it to fit your personality, using the principles, but making it your own, I highly recommend. And also, this is not something that I did back when I used to send cold emails. But these days, I would be more careful about who I picked to be a prospect and add a layer of personalization, genuine personalization. Not stuff like pretending that you like kayaking because they've got kayaking on their social media profile. It has to be genuine. But if you can have some layer of personalization where you've got something in common or something like that, just to show that this isn't a mass email, this one line here passes the sort of test of reading it. You can kind of tell, oh, he's mentioned something personalized here. This email hasn't gone to thousands of people. That's something I would do differently now.
Yeah, I was going to ask as well, where do you sit on the automated to personalization spectrum? Because there's two different camps, right? Yeah. And I guess both actually can be effective. For example, in our program, we have sort of two different methods of cold outreach and they're, completely opposite. So one of them is fully automated. You scrape a list of thousands of leads and you can personalize the email, using first name field, company field, and then using spin tags and all sorts of clever like software tricks to basically customize the email so it's slightly different for everyone. Even there's AI first line writers and stuff like that. So you can send thousands of these things, which are decently personalized, but the whole point is that it's automated. So you set it up once, you hit run and then hands off. And then the other extreme is obviously you do actual research on each person and you write a proper personalized email for each person, right? Which obviously is going to get you a lot more responses. It's also more effort. So I'm guessing that's kind of the route that you like to go, right? The more personalized way.
Yeah, I tell people that you can do both. Like the personalized stuff you'll feel better about because, it's personalized emails, but it does take longer. I'd say for your dream clients and the people you really want to work with, do the personalized approach. And then on the side, you can have something a bit more automated and at scale for clients that, you can help, but they're not like dream clients. I think having both of those and then testing them and seeing what gets you meetings. At the end of the day, that's my only important metric is your diary filled enough with calls and meetings with prospects? So I would test both of those in conjunction and then go with what works. That's all that matters at the end of the day. If I was to redo it now, if I was to say like try and get clients now, I personally probably would go the personalized route, but that's not the advice I give people. I tell people to try both and test both and see what regularly delivers for you.
Yeah, that's exactly what we say as well. Definitely for the Dream 100 list or any guys you really want to work for, like, don't just slap them in some automation, like definitely go the extra mile, take the time to put in the effort for those people. Because if it pays off, you'd be really stoked,
One thing that I really have to recommend as well, I wanted to see how I could make the drunk cold email even more effective. And this is how green I was. I didn't know like, oh, a follow-up sequence would be a good idea. Eventually I did do that. But what I did was, I could send them a letter in the post that's the same copy as the drunk cold email. Instead of a picture of the ferret with bunny ears, it's a sticker. And then I'll send it them, make the envelope so it stands out in some way. And then in a few days later, I would send a follow-up email and the subject line was sorry for the ferret in the post. And then the email was funny. And that worked really, really well, that 1-2 punch. And then on top of that, I would add a follow-up sequence as well. If one thing that that works really well, and I've tested, is when I briefly did cold pitch campaigns for clients, is handwritten letters. So my handwriting is completely illegible, but you can get companies to do it for you and it's legible and it's nice. They've even got robots with fountain pens writing these letters. It's something you can do. It obviously costs a bit to use one of those services, but getting a handwritten letter in the post is so rare. And if the copy is charming and funny, it's going to be super effective. Some people will reply directly to the letter, but then you follow up with an email that mentions the handwritten letter in the subject line. It's a super, super powerful way of, especially if you're getting those dream clients, of getting replies from very hard to reach prospects that are very inundated with all kinds of sales messages.
Yes, I'm so glad you mentioned direct mail. This is actually something that I've been really getting into a lot lately. And I just filmed a training and also a YouTube video on this a few days ago. And so I've been really geeking out about that, the details of it for the last few days. I was actually going to ask you if you've ever used your exact templates in direct mail, because I feel like they would work so well. But you said you have and you've had success with that.
Yeah, if you search for the hashtag #FoundTheFerret on Twitter, you'll see people that have put their letter and sticker on Twitter and said that it's a great letter or it made their day, which is another advantage actually of this approach. Is one, they might mention it online on Twitter, a little bit of exposure, but more importantly, your email or letter will get shared around the office or shared around the team, and you're the talk of the office. That's incredibly persuasive as well, in that you're already being spoken about. You kind of made a big impression, not only on the person you sent the email to, but their team, maybe their superiors. You've already made a really good first impression and been shared around the office. That's a huge advantage of this kind of approach, because you might get work from other people as well. There might be other people within the organization that want to give you work as well, which is what happened with Symantec.
Yeah, 100%. We
ended up with work from like the US division, Germany, UK. Oh, no, that was Hewlett Packard, sorry. But yeah, that effect can happen a lot, and it's really powerful.
Yeah, I think one thing that works even better is including, lumpy mail, like making it 3D. So adding a little bit of bulk generally tends to work super well from my experience. And there's really two ways you can go. So you can either do a personalized gift, obviously a lot more effort, a lot more expensive, a chew toy for their dog, a bottle of their favorite drink, that kind of thing. Or you can go the other way, which is more sort of your style, and, do the charming, kind of almost gimmicky, but funny sort of way of going about it. So there's a ton of sites. The one I like to use, it's called 3dmailresults.com. And so they sell all sorts of these funny little gimmicky, plastic foot. I'm just trying to get my foot in the door. A silver platter. This message is so important. It needs to be delivered on a silver platter. A bag of shredded money. This is a live representation of your Facebook ad spend right now. There's like 101 things on the site. Fortune cookie, we'll make a fortune together. Like there's so much you can do, which is really funny. And I like the idea of doing a 3-mail campaign. So you send one of them and then, no response, you send an email, and then a week later you send a follow-up. And it's always funny when the next one sort of ties in. So the first one might be, $1 million note, right? And you do the old Gary Helbert, hey, I've attached a nice crisp $1 million bill to this, letter. Why have I done this? There are 2 reasons, right? Blah, blah, blah. And then the second one, you follow up with a bank mailer, and it's just like, let me write your emails for you. And then, this bank mailer will be full next time you're taking it to the bank. And then the third one's like the bag of shredded money. And then you can do the other angle where it's like the emails are hitting spam or promo or something. And then, talk about how they're effectively shredding their money. So it all ties into each other. And it's kind of fun. And then you follow up an email and then you're like, hey, how'd you like the plastic foot? Yeah, you get tons of responses. And I think it is my favorite client getting strategy. I just think it's so brilliant. It's so out of the box. I think it's going to work better and better and better as time goes on. The more digital the world becomes, the more cold emails and DMs that people get. And especially those high level people who are, impossible to get into touch with. I think there's no better way than going old school, right?
You have a lot less competition in the old school mailbox than online. They're not getting as many letters to their office. So, everything's digital. I do like the idea of using the oldest technology, like a handwritten letter, to sell like a tech service or something. There's an amusing irony in using that device to sell something technology based. But I agree, direct mail is fantastic, super powerful, underutilized, and you can be really creative with it, which is fun. My rule is with cold pitching is be funny. If you can't be funny, be clever. If you can't be clever, keep that shit short. I think most people skip to the last bit. If you Google any best cold email template, it's just that super small template. Another line I like is you can never be too long, but you can be too boring. So if you're writing charming cold pitches, it doesn't have to be super short. If you're entertaining people, they can be a bit longer.
Yeah, it's exactly as Alex Hormozi said in his recent book as well, pretty much word for word. He said, there's no such thing as too long, only too boring. I totally agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
My plan actually is, because I'm cold emailing, basically being my own booking agent to get clubs and festivals that I want to play at, both in Australia and overseas. And what I'm planning in January when I get back from overseas is I'm going to do a full direct mail campaign to all the biggest clubs and festivals in Australia. And, I can send them earplugs, hey, I know there's a ton of DJs in your DMs trying to get booked. The pitches are awful. So just, put these earplugs in, tune them out and book me instead. And the next week you can follow up with a peg. This is to block the terrible stench that's coming from your inbox from all these horrible pitches that you're getting, and then follow up with, I don't know, an eye mask or something. Hey, maybe the peg was uncomfortable, so I sent you an eye mask so you don't have to read any of these awful pitches or, whatever. You can have fun with it. So I'm looking forward to trying that out, seeing how that goes.
That's awesome. I actually helped my friend as well. It's not on the scale that you're doing it, but he wanted to book a gig at a venue in London, and I wrote him a really ridiculous email, which I'll have to send you, and it worked really, really well. I imagine with your credentials as well, like your Spotify statistics and all of that stuff is going to help you get those responses as well. You've got a charming approach, but you've got some good credentials behind you now in regarding your music career.
Yeah, because I've tried the cold emailing already with the more sort of typical booking agent, professional, standard style approach, which I have got some responses, but no bookings so far. And so I think the credentials alone, they're not really enough. But I think when you combine it with the charming approach and the persistence as well, I think people really like the persistence. As long as you're not annoying, you're playfully persistent. They'll go, all right, this guy is clearly serious. He really wants it. He's showing up differently. He's putting in the effort. He's ticking all the boxes. Fuck it. Let's give him a crack.
One of my two favorite lines when following up is, I do hope you find my tenacity enduring, John, or I hope you don't mind my professional perseverance. There's just funny little lines that you can put into, again, calling out that this might be annoying, but I'm a go-getter. I've got to make this happen. Another line I like is, I don't like sending cold emails, but alas, my lifelong addiction to food and shelter shows no sign of abating.
Oh, that's a good one. I'll definitely do that. Yeah, I've got an addiction to feed.
It's relentless.
Do you have a checklist or anything? What are the most important elements, do you think, of a cold email when you're putting together the campaign, overall? What do you think are the most important things for people to focus on in terms of targeting, who they're actually emailing? Is it the copy? Is it the offer? Is it following up? What do you think are the most important elements that go into it?
So one, data is important, making sure that it's good data, like the email addresses are valid, so you've run it through an email checker. That you're targeting the right people. So people ask me, who did I contact as a marketing agency? I always went for the most senior person in the department that's the most relevant to me. So for me, it was marketing directors, chief marketing officers, that kind of thing. You can go hire and email CEOs, but that's who I think is the most relevant person that you should contact. The other is technology. So tools like Lemlist, I like a lot. There's loads and loads of cold email platforms, but something that will do all the automation, they do the follow-ups for you and reply detection, all that fun stuff. Making sure that, your emails are actually going to get delivered. There's a whole checklist of technical things that you need to do to make sure it gets, even more so from February when Gmail does their update, you're definitely going to have to get that deliverability stuff sorted. That's if you have an email list as well as cold emailing. And then the copy and the offer. So the copy obviously should be make people laugh, make them smile, be self-deprecating, use silliness. But all of that stuff doesn't really matter if your offer's not very good. You can have the most charming approach in the world, but if you're selling something that the audience doesn't want, you're going to get some really nice, positive rejections, but you've got to have an offer that people want. And that is really, really important. copy can only do so much. You can get your responses, but if you want to turn that into an actual lead, you've got to solve a problem that the client needs solving.
Yeah, I think I would add a follow-up to that list as well. I think a lot of people overlook that. And I think a lot of studies have shown that something like 80% of sales come from the follow-up and usually not the first encounter, right? And I think in advertising, I don't know who comes up with these numbers and I don't know how it works, but they say, whoever they is, right? On average, like prospect needs to see a marketing message something like 7 times before they'll buy, right? You know, and then people wonder like, why do Coca-Cola, why does McDonald's run ads? Everyone's heard of Coca-Cola, everyone's heard of McDonald's, and it's still like they still want to stay top of mind, you know? And I think following up is basically the way to do that because a lot of people are busy. They saw your email, they meant to reply, their dog started barking, you know, they were in the elevator, they were taking a shit, they were in the car, they were in traffic, whatever, you know, there's a million reasons people are busy. And so I think following up.
Follow-ups will make it so much more effective. Definitely following up is an important one. Did you ever see my 5 stages of grief follow-up sequence? I'll have to, if I've not, I'll have to send it on. You'll like it. It basically takes people through as if I'm going through the 5 stages of grief because they've not replied to my email. And it makes a joke in each email. And there's a picture of you looking like each stage of grief. That works really, really well. So yeah, following up is important, but also you can make your follow-ups funny as well. That big mistake I see is the way people write follow-ups. And it's kind of like just very stern, like you're self-important. Like I sent you an email 4 days ago and you didn't reply. Can you reply? Like it's like you're the least important person in their inbox. Yeah. You shouldn't be talking as if they owe you a favor. They owe you nothing. So make sure when you're following up that you follow up in a way that bears in mind that these people are busy. You're a stranger in their inbox, and you're not entitled to anything. If you can do the follow-ups with that in mind and make a joke out of it, you're going to get a far better response than writing in a stern way that is sort of saying it's entitled.
Yeah. And I think another thing people do is, hey, just bumping this up, or hey, just following up and adding nothing new to the interaction. Yeah. There is a chance that they're meant to respond and they got busy, but there's also a chance that they read it and it simply didn't intrigue them or interest them enough to respond. In which case, if you're just saying, hey, just bumping this up, it's like, you're not bringing anything new to the table. There's no new information. And so it's like, you're going to get the same response you got the first time, which is no response.
It just showed them something they're not interested in again.
Yeah. So I think one of the best tips I ever got for following up is always bring some new information to the table. So it could be talk about a case study you have, a testimonial, send them a sample, send them a resource, a Loom video. For me, with the music follow-ups, I talk about a different achievement that I've had in music or something else that I'm up to. It's just bringing something new to the table. So you're not just like, hey, me again, you know?
Yeah, definitely bringing some value to the table. You can, obviously with my approach, I'm just trying to make them smile or laugh again. So there is a form of value in being entertaining, but there is some truth that if you're giving them some new information as well. I think that combination can work really, really well together. Giving some value, making them smile, it's all going to help you get them to reply positively.
Yeah, I think the entertainment thing is really overlooked. People don't realize that entertainment is in its own a form of value. It's probably the highest form of value that you can offer. I mean, you look at a salary of a teacher versus a salary of an actor, you know, famous celebrity. It's like people want to be entertained at the end of the day. They're very bored in their day-to-day life. Most people are just bored as shit. They eat the same boring breakfast, go to the same boring job, come home, do the same boring workout, whatever, you know, go about their day, watch boring TV, go to bed. And so you showing up differently, putting a smile on their face, making them laugh a little bit, you know, it goes a long way, more than you might realize, I think.
Absolutely. Well, this is why in dating, one of the biggest things that can help you, sense of humor. Everyone wants someone with a sense of humor. There's a reason for that. You can give someone a nice feeling remotely. You can, make someone smirk or smile or laugh out loud. You've given them basically like a free little high, and they might have had a bad day or a really boring day. You put a smile on their face. That's a great first impression. They're going to remember that approach forever. I still have people that I've messaged on LinkedIn, people that I'd met but maybe hadn't signed a deal with, and they're like, I still remember that email. I still tell people about it today. That's the difference between writing something standard and something that's funny and stands out, is that you get talked about for a long time and it gets remembered. And you can't say that of, standard stuff.
100%. That's it. If you want a different response, then you got to show up differently from everyone else.
Exactly.
Killer. Before we wrap this up, I wanted to talk a little bit about maybe like the future of cold email as well. Do you feel like there's been any noticeable changes over the last year or so when it comes to cold outreach, cold email? Do you feel like the market has gotten any more sophisticated at all? Or have you noticed any changes in market sophistication with this sort of style of outreach at all? Has anything changed, or is it still just full steam ahead?
I would say it seems like it's more in vogue now. More people are doing cold email. I don't know if that's to do with like rising ad costs or something, but it seems it's being propagated by more people. I think the technology has come on. Obviously, in recent years, the thing I like is the dynamically inserted images. So the picture and it's got the client's name on it or something that's personalized to them. You can do personalized video now at scale, which is interesting. Obviously, AI is going to have a massive effect. Like you'll be able to do personalized videos where it's you talking, but the AI will just say the client's name. It's kind of a bit duplicitous, but that is going to be a thing that happens. AI is going to have a huge impact. I would say, yeah, technology. As far as sophistication, I don't think, there's still so many people that won't send entertaining emails, even when they know that it works. There's just something in them. They will not do it. So I haven't seen sophistication in writing entertaining emails. It's more about the technology that's coming that is going to change everything and be really, really useful.
Yeah, the AI stuff's really interesting. I'm yet to find a tool that can actually say someone's first name in a natural sounding way where it's not very obviously AI. I'm sure that'll change soon. There is one that I really like. It's called Reply Queue or Replique. I don't know how you're supposed to say it. But what that will do is essentially you can film a standard Loom video, for instance, where you would just have, video screen, you're talking in a little circle in the corner. And what that will do is if you upload a CSV file of all of their websites or social media or literally whatever you want to put in the background, what this will do is it'll take the link in their website in the spreadsheet, and it will put it behind you in the video. So you're talking head here and it'll just put their website up on screen. And so it looks like it's a super personalized Loom, like it's filmed just for them, because how could you be sending other people a video of that, their website? You don't say their name, that's the only difference. The trick is to make it seem very personalized without actually saying anything that's personalized, and just let the background be the personalization. And then it will insert the thumbnail into your video as well, embed it. So it's their website with, your head in the corner and a little playhead. So it gets an enormous amount of clicks because, of course, you see that in your inbox and you're like, oh, what's he saying about me? I want to see this.
I've heard I need to see it still. I need to experience because it sounds insane. There is AI cold calling now, and apparently it's incredible. The names are correct. It deals with, obviously it replies based on what they say. I need to check that platform out myself because that sounds absolutely insane.
Yeah, that is quite baffling.
Yeah, we're in the future. The last year or two, the pace of technology, we're in for some exciting times, not just in cold pitching, but the whole of the marketing world. Just the technology I can't even fathom what it's going to look like with AI in 5 years. Could be living in a completely different world.
It is a little bit scary. I'm equally excited and nervous for it. I think, there's a risk it'll evolve so far. Where I talked about this with Alex Hormozy as well. We did a little interview and I was like, what's this world going to look like in, 10, 20, 50, 100 years when AI can come along and you want a book done, it'll write the whole book for you, write all the ads, build the sales page, build the sales funnel, film all of the videos with deep fakes, literally do every single thing that you would normally do that would take 6 months or a year, click of a finger and it's up and it's live and it's running. And you're like, what need is there even for us anymore? That's It's a bit of a scary prospect. And then when everyone's doing that at scale, everyone's launching 100 books a day. Like there's just so much noise out there. That's what kind of scares me, is like, how are we even going to stand out anymore? I don't know.
When we think about automation, we think about like truckers or something losing their jobs. It's like, no, not us, cushy, passive income, digital product people. But that's scary. I prefer not to think about it. But I guess other jobs will come out, new jobs are created. Like streamer was not a job, 15 years ago. Now it is. So the economy will evolve, but I have no idea. But the next few years should be exciting at least. And I'm excited to start playing with AI more. I've only just recently gotten on board with it, but I'm enjoying it. It's fun.
Yeah, I think it's that thing that everyone kind of resists initially. Ostrich, put your head in the sand, pretend it doesn't exist. And then after a while, it's like, okay, I really need to get on board with this thing or I'm going to get left behind.
I actually launched an AI pack earlier in the year. So because a lot of the lines I use in my emails are syntax based, it's based on the order of the words. That's how you make the jokes. ChatGPT is actually really good at creating new versions of those. So you can teach it the syntax, give it some examples, and it produces loads and loads of additional versions of that type of line. And I found it really useful. That some of the lines actually making me laugh as well. Like some of them obviously are not very good, but there are some in there that are really, really funny and better than the original one that I suggested. So that's another thing that people can, to make the emails their own, is you can use ChatGPT to make different versions of the kind of funny lines that I've put in my products. And yeah, some of the output's really, really funny.
Yeah, that's a great way of customizing it to be your own without having to be clever or funny or witty. Obviously this shit comes natural for you. You've been doing it for a decade, but for the average person, like they kind of go, how do I be funny? Or, how do I come up with this stuff? So I think that's a really good use case for it. Because as you said, I mean, without the right prompt, the outputs can be pretty shocking. But when you do give it that right prompt, then it can actually be money with what it puts out.
Yeah. Like I got it to write some different versions of like, I have like funny unsubscribe lines, stuff like, if you don't want any more emails, click here and I'll unsubscribe you. But please be aware that for some protracted technical reasons, this button also releases the hounds on me. But don't worry, this isn't your problem. Just like really silly. And I told it that, and I told it, this is what I'm trying to do to make it kind of whimsical about unsubscribing. And the output was all right, but it didn't make me the center of the joke. So I had to give it another iteration and say, no, try again. But the victim of the consequences has to be me, the sender of the email. And then it got it perfect. And some of them are really, really, really funny. So yeah, it's really, really good for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I love that. The idea of the recipient sitting there like, should I press the button? He's like strung up over a giant campfire. Like, do I press the button?
Yeah. Another one was a giant novelty hand would hit me around the face. And yeah, just again, even that's another thing is making every single part of your email different. Even instead of like, dear John or hi John, I used to use greetings or salutations. Like every little bit, I wanted it to be as different as possible. From that to the unsubscribe to the last line, I await your profanity-filled response. Have an absolutely wonderful day. Just trying to make every little bit as different as possible, and then you'll stand out.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite ones. Your profanity-filled response.
Yeah, it's my favorite line as well, because the type of people that were thinking about writing an angry reply are the same type of person that's going to be like, I'm not going to do what you tell me, and then just not reply angrily. And then the people that laugh obviously enjoy it, so it works in two ways.
Yeah, that's it. A bit of a technical question, I suppose. What call to actions have you found to work the best in your cold emails? Because there's there's sort of two different schools of thought. Some people say you want to do a soft call to action, which is something like, is this of interest to you or something like that? And then other people say it's much better to have a hard call to action, which is a very specific thing that you want them to do, which is like, for example, if you have 10 minutes free on Thursday, I'm happy to walk you through how it works. Does it sound like it's worth a call, right? Or even like a leading with value call to action, which is something like, hey, I just filmed a quick 2-minute Loom video, breaking this all down. Happy to send it over. Is it cool if I send you the link? Have you tested a lot of these different call to actions and which ones you typically find work best?
So when I read the original email, I got two responses to this. The original one, I was trying to get a call or a meeting with them. So the line was something like, if you agree to meet with me for coffee or lunch or tequila shots, I may even wear a top hat and promise to be somewhat entertaining. But first of all, I'd just love to give you some ideas you're free to steal. So that's the really important line there after the silly bit, is that they are going to get something out of that call or meeting, even if they never elect to speak to me ever again. So they're going to get value on that call. And many people have told me that was one of the reasons why they did the call, because they made them smile, but also this guy could give me some insights and some ideas that are going to help me. So I may as well do it. Another thing we used to offer is a free brainstorm. We were trying to have some value that they're upfront that is going to benefit them, which is why they should get on a call. These days in templates, I offer a free audit or a mini audit of, say, their Facebook ads or a mini audit of their SEO, some kind of value upfront that you offer them. If they reply, I'm happy to do this. Even if you never elect to speak to me again, you're going to get some value out of it. Would you like it? And I found that to be really, really effective, just to show that you show that you're knowledgeable because you're going to put this little audit together. It's a reason to get on the phone with them. You want to run it through with them. You've got these insights, you've got these recommendations. Let's go over it on the phone. It's a reason to get them on the phone. And then obviously, if the call goes well, you can say, and do you mind if I put a proposal together so I can help you, with this project or this ongoing campaign? So those are the ones that I would usually use. Another thing I would do is kind of sugarcoating. So there's the example there of the tequila shots. But another one that I've used is, if you agree to a call with me, I'll give you some ideas you're free to steal. And I may even tell you the lamest joke I know. Or I may tell you some random trivia you'll find borderline fascinating. Again, just kind of adding enough information there that people are not going to think, oh, this is going to be a really boring, stressy sales call. I don't want to be on it. You want to make it the complete opposite to that. This is going to be lighthearted. I'm going to get some value. It's not going to be a boring pitch. All right, then I can give him 15 minutes of my time, or half an hour or an hour, however long it is. So that's what I would recommend.
Yeah, I think being lighthearted, casual is one of the most important things, because no one wants to be on a sales call. No one wants to be hard sold to. They don't want to sit there and be pitched to. And so I think the most important thing you can do is, one, position the call as being an actual valuable use of their time. Like, even if you don't move forward, like, you'll get something out of the time you spend with me on the phone, right? I'll give you some sort of insight or whatever. And then I think the other thing is just lowering the stakes a little bit and making it more lighthearted. I can't remember who it was, but there was a famous salesman a while ago who always used to say, so someone was kind of on the fence. He was like, why don't you just give it a shot? If it doesn't work, I'll give all your money back, and I'll even throw in my pet goldfish as well. Like, I'll give you my pet goldfish. And it's like, no one actually fucking wants the goldfish. Like, no one wants your pet goldfish. But just saying something like that, it takes it from this big, scary sales call, like, big decision thing, to like, you know what? Fine. It just increases likability.
Exactly. Yeah. Being likable. People like to do business with people they like. It's very important. And also on the call, another thing that people sometimes get wrong is they think that they have to be the person in the email on the call. I'd say, you don't have to be a jester. Like, people know this is an opening gambit to get their attention. You lead with the humor to get the lead. And then when you're on the call, you demonstrate your knowledge and you show lots of enthusiasm. And that combination is very intoxicating. There's a good quote, which I agree with, that enthusiasm is the most cost-effective cosmetic there is. And I think that's very true. And then you combine that with, you know what you're talking about, and that you really want to do this and you really want to help them, and you're already excited about it. It's really, really powerful and helps you get chosen over other suppliers that they might be speaking to.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a sales call like that the other day. The guy was just brimming with enthusiasm. And I was like, man, I just like you. I just want to give you money because I just like you.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the principles of persuasion, in the book Influence, is liking and reciprocity. Probably the two reasons out of all the principles of persuasion why these emails work is they like you because you made a good impression. You've made them laugh at work. Reciprocity. Okay, he's made my day. There's something in there that they kind of want to do a favor back. So, there's some clever persuasion stuff going on, as well as the, just the absurdity.
Yeah, super important. Actually, the only cold email that I've ever got in history, which has got me on the phone and got me to buy something. I'm actually really quite easy to sell to. If I want something, I'll just buy it. I'm not very hard to sell to, but I am really hard to.
Salespeople are always the easiest to sell to, is the line I've heard.
Yeah.
I'm the same. So what is it?
Yeah, but I am really hard to get on the phone just because I hate phone calls. And so this guy, he sent me a Loom video, and I've made a YouTube video about it. It was very similar to the train of thought that you were saying before, which was, firstly, in the Loom video, he filmed very unique opening. He actually played one of my songs and like danced to it for 10 seconds. He's like, okay, enough being silly. Like, let's get into it. Went into his pitch. And then basically the part that really sold me at the end was, he said, I'm going to walk you through how to do this on a call, totally free. If you want my help at the end, I can set it up for you. If you want to hire me to do it, we can talk about that, sure. But if you don't, totally fine. I'm still going to show you either way. And then if at the end of the call you want to say, Alex, fuck off, I'm not interested, that's totally fine. I'm still going to give you the step-by-step on how to do it. So right there and then I was like, I'm going to book a call, because I knew, I was like, I'm going to get value for my time on the phone at least. And then I did ultimately end up working with him. So
yeah, it's a way to do it. Absolutely.
Amazing. All right, I got like one more question. I had some clients asking me some questions, so I wanted to squeeze them all in. What changes do you expect to come in 2024 and beyond when it comes to cold email? Is there anything people should be doing differently, paying attention to? Obviously, for the people watching who don't know, there are some pretty major Gmail and Yahoo changes in terms of they're really cracking down on spam rate and personalization, which, well, not really personalization, but it means the spam threshold has to be under 0.3%, right? Which is really quite low, which means if you send 1,000 emails, less than 3 have to report it as spam. Otherwise, you're going to run into some problems. And there's other stuff like you have to have, DKIM, DMARC, and SPF and whatever set up. But do you think there's any other major changes that people should be paying attention to or doing differently as we move forward?
The tech stuff is important. Obviously, if you are sending lots of cold emails, Don't use your main domain. You can buy separate domain names. So if you do get into trouble, you've not ruined your main domain. I would say along the lines of what I said earlier, sending less emails, but more personalized to clients that you really want to work with. And also, if you're worried about the Gmail stuff, use LinkedIn. You can connect to, I think, 100 people a week on LinkedIn. You can find, with LinkedIn Sales Navigator, you can find very relevant prospects because of the amount of search filters. Obviously, you can search for all the normal stuff, but on top of that, you can search for people that have only been in a job for 1 year. I think there was an option. I wasn't able to find it the other day, but there's always been an option for finding people that have changed jobs in the last 90 days. So they've either been promoted or they've got a new job. They're more likely to want to hear new ideas from new talent or suppliers. And there's even a buyer intent thing in there now. So someone showed me that you can show people that have got a buyer intent for PR technology software. So you can be really, really targeted on LinkedIn. Send people connection requests. A lot of people just accept all connection requests because they want their network to be bigger. And you can use LinkedIn to cold pitch as well. I've had great success with LinkedIn. Also, you're building your network. So if you start posting content on LinkedIn as well, you can get inbound leads. But for the most part, I would say, if you're worried about email, there are the technical things that you can do. You can send less emails. You can use direct mail. You can also use LinkedIn. The media type doesn't really matter. It's the principles, and you can take charming principles and you can use them for LinkedIn, for Facebook ads. I've done before, for direct mail. You'll find ways around it. So there's technical stuff you can sort, but also there's other media that you can use and using the same principles so you can get the same results.
100%. The final thing that I kind of wanted to cover here is, would you have any advice to new copywriters who are maybe just getting started, they're just getting their feet wet, and they're trying to land their very first clients? If you were in their shoes, their situation, right now in 2024, 2023, whatever, don't have any clients, don't have any proof, track record, you've pretty much agreed to this. How would you go about getting your very first copywriting client?
I've got a template for this, and someone just emailed me today saying they've had a response from an influencer who's interested and he's writing a sequence for them, and he's going to get paid for it as well. What I recommend is, I do have a template for this, is that you're really honest about it. Obviously say it in a charming, funny way, where you say, you admit up front that I have no experience, but I really want to do this. And I think to start with, you are going to have to, because you need to build testimonials, you might have to work for free, but you're getting the testimonial in exchange or a case study. When you've got some testimonials and case studies, everything gets so much easier because you're no longer the person with no experience. You've got the social proof from others to make things much better. So it's really about, you might get paid, or you might get paid, a lower rate, or you might have to do it for free, but approach businesses that you really want to work with. Use humor, be genuine. Don't lie about the fact that you've got no experience. Again, bring the elephant in the room, talk about it first. People like to do people favors, especially if they can see that you're a go-getter and you really want to do well. They'll give you a chance. Obviously, your copy has to be good. If you're trying to get copywriting clients and then you get a response and then the stuff that you send them is, has typos in it and it doesn't look like it's, then you're going to have, you're not going to succeed. So as long as you are practicing copywriting a lot, you're writing all the time, you're reading and writing a lot, I think if you go out with the right approach and you're honest and you're funny, you can get some clients, maybe testimonials, and then leverage those testimonials to get your first paying clients. And it gets a lot easier once you're in that spot.
Yeah, 100%. It's good to hear that that's pretty much also the same advice I've been giving for, 5 or 6 years. So it's good to, you said the same as well.
Yeah, definitely was. Yeah, you've got to start somewhere. And yeah, if your copy's good and you approach in the right way, you might have to work for free for a bit, but it's worth the effort, because when you start getting paid clients and retainers, very, very quickly you go from the no experience person to, oh, actually, I'm pretty good at this. And lots of businesses are saying nice things about me. So your confidence will go up and everything gets much easier.
Yeah, 100%. It all builds on each other. In the beginning, it's like getting your foot in the door, even just a little bit, even if it's a free, then you build your confidence, you build your motivation, you have results, track record, case studies, you can share actual tangible numbers with future prospects. And it all kind of just builds on top of each other until, then you can just cold email and go straight for the close and, charge thousands of dollars or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, the key thing is to get started. A lot of people, I imagine, put off sending that first cold pitch. Yeah, is you got to take action. Taking perfect action every day is a principle I try to stick to.
100%. Sitting down to actually write the damn thing and send the first email. It's the hardest part.
Yeah. Yeah. As soon as you start getting positive replies, you will get addicted. So people should start as soon as they can.
Yeah. Get the failures, rejections, ghosting out the way to get that first good
Mhm.
response, and then you'll be hooked from there.
Yeah. Because the negative responses begins to be meaningless after a while. He like really doesn't care because and it's drowned out by the positive responses. That it's not something you're concerned about. It really doesn't affect your life in any way. As you say, we're not in the old times where we could be in danger. There is really no risk to sending cold email. The worst that can happen is you don't hear back from them or you have a negative reply. Really meaningless. You'll forget about that very quickly, especially when, you've got other people giving you positive replies.
Yeah, I actually really look forward to the rejection because I'm doing this cold emailing stuff, as I mentioned, to book gigs and that sort of thing. And I got a guy who he emailed me back today and said, like, thanks for your emails, but we're going to pass on this. And I was actually thankful. I was like, oh, thank you. You've just saved me the future work of writing another email to follow up. And now I know you're not interested. So you saved me work. Thank you. You saved me some time. And then also I know that I'm one step closer to getting a yes. Because the more no's I get statistically, the more yeses I'm going to get. And so I was actually pumped. I was like, sweet. I'm one step closer to my goals, just that
Yeah,
reframe.
exactly.
Really powerful.
It's another good thing with the charming approach is, you'll get even the rejections are often really, really positive. It's like, I really loved your email. Thank you, you made me laugh. Unfortunately, we're contracted with an agency for the next year, so we can't use you, but thank you for emailing. So when you use the right approach, even the rejections, can be kind of positive and nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. What is next for Jon Buchan? What do you got cooking up? What's on the horizon?
There's a few things. So I've done loads of JVs recently. Obviously, we did one as well. I'm going to do more of those. I've got a big one of those coming up. I can't believe I've got to do it, but I've got to get on TikTok because obviously the organic growth, if you get good at it, is ridiculous. And I know people are adding hundreds of people to their email list every week using TikTok. So I've got to do that. And really just growing my audience is a big thing. I want to have a bigger, obviously an engaged audience, but I really want to grow my audience, work hard on Facebook ads to scale. And I'm probably going to end up doing, because I haven't done it before, some kind of high ticket program, coaching people around all of this kind of stuff, from lead gen, from cold pitching to doing sales calls to closing deals. Probably going to put a high ticket program together at some point and do WhatsApp coaching. So instead of doing Zoom calls every week, I just answer people on WhatsApp with the voice notes or texts. It's something I'm going to try. And yeah, really just grow the business. That's my focus. Grow it, help more people, and just enjoy it while I'm doing it.
That's killer. Yeah, I'm actually amazed you don't have a high ticket program already. You just have a bunch of amazing and brilliant courses. But yeah, I'm actually quite surprised that you don't have anything. I want to give you more money, Jon. How can I give you more money? Anything else?
That was born out of laziness. So for the longest time, when I ran the agency, my life was about filling my diary with as many meetings and calls as possible. So when I had Charm Offensive, because I got rid of all of my clients, this was my business. I'm going to sell info products. I realized, I don't have to speak to anyone. And I kind of took that too far. And I've kind of realized, actually, I do like speaking to people. As long as I can filter who I'm talking to, I actually do like engaging with people. So, yeah, it's something I've not done before. And I'm going to give people the opportunity to give me more money.
Amazing. And I'm sure many of them will take it, especially after seeing your lower ticket products, courses, your free stuff as well. And, even this interview too. So I look forward to that. Let me know when the launch is live.
I shall do. Thank you so much.
Awesome. On that note, is there anything you're promoting right now? I'd love to plug a link down below, share with all of my friends, followers, family, my grandma, anyone who might be interested.
Best bet at the moment, I would say, is Charm Offensive Professional. So it's charm-offensive.co.uk/subscription. I'm sure you can put a link in. And that gives you access to everything I've ever made. I've made so many template packs, courses, ebooks, everything I've ever made is in there. And you can access it for a monthly fee. Quit anytime you want. I add new stuff all the time. So that's probably where I guide people to is I always like having more subscribers. So Charm Offensive Professional, definitely check that out.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll put the link down below. That sounds very, very valuable if you are cold emailing to get any kind of clients for your freelancing stuff for an agency. These are the templates that you need. I will say that from firsthand experience. Jon knows his stuff. So amazing, man. Yeah, and where can people find you if they wanted to reach out, connect, buy stuff, say thank you?
Sure. I've got a Facebook group called Charm Offensive. You can find me on Facebook as well. I use my personal profile for business stuff now, but Charm Offensive Facebook group. I'm on LinkedIn and also just going to the website, jon-offensive.co.uk. Those are the best ways of getting in touch.
Perfect. I'll plug those links down below as well. Well, dude, Jon, this has been absolutely tremendous. Thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. We've dropped some absolute gems in here. This could honestly be like a mini course on cold emailing. And so I really appreciate you spilling the sauce, spilling the secrets, and just for being you, man. You know, you bring a fun, unique energy into this world. And so I really appreciate that as well.
Thank you so much for having me on, man. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I'll speak to you soon.
You got it, man. We'll be in touch. Chat soon.
Yeah,
Thanks.
man. Awesome, man. All right, well, have a lovely day, man, and stay out of trouble.
I'll do my best. Can't promise.